Welcome, everyone, to the second annual statewide Film and Media Community Town Hall. So FAMCO, Film and Media Community, okay? That's gonna be our new vocabulary word for the day. So last year we had 4 locations and 250 people who attended. This year we have 7 cities and a virtual group of people tuning in across the state and from other states. There are 340 people that are a part of this today. So yay for that. My name is Shauna Schultz. I'm a Colorado native and a very passionate member of the film industry here. I run Mass Effects Media and 38th and Post, which is a post house based here in Denver area. And thank you. So I've been community organizing since the film study came out in 2022 because I know that we can build a strong industry here, but only if we do it together. So I ran for the board of the CFVA, the Colorado Film and Video Association, and was elected, and I'm now serving as the vice president this year. And thank you. Oh man, I love all the applause, thank you. So today, how it's gonna go, the agenda, we're gonna hear updates from each of the cities and hear what's happening around Colorado. And then we're gonna dive into an interactive conversation about what's next. I believe that in this effort to grow our industry, there are things that need to be statewide and things that need to be local and regional. So I'm very pleased to introduce you to 9 other leaders who are joining me today across the state. On my little map here, we're going to start from the north and work our way down. And so I would like to start with Fort Collins. Fort Collins, if you can introduce your host and city producers that helped make this happen and give us an update of what's been happening in your part of the state.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Michael Kane. I'm actually pretty new resident of Colorado in Fort Collins and very excited about what's going on in Colorado and these sort of collaborative efforts. I'd like to introduce Elizabeth Mihalich, who's leading this effort today. As far as what's going on in Fort Collins in the Northern District these days, we've had actually recently, our famous trolley was featured in The Man Who Changed the World, which filmed in May of this year. Director Anders Lindwall from Fort Collins directed a feature film, Green and Gold, starring Brandon Skellner, Craig T. Nelson, Emmett Walsh. It did film in Door County, so we need to get them to come back. The 5314 music video experiment was a big success, which is something the Bohemian Foundation did with FOCO MA, and it screened at the Lyric Theater, but 10 music videos being created in 53 hours and 14 minutes. We've also got the Magic Rat Showcase, which is from this great venue we're at right now at the Elizabeth Hotel, which is a monthly series. And we're in the process of launching Best of Fest Colorado, which would be a collaboration of all film festivals across Colorado. We're really happy to be here today.
How about Boulder? You don't have any news lately of things happening, do you?
Just crickets over here. No. Good afternoon from Boulder. Hi, everybody. My name is Molly McKinney. I'm hosting today alongside our city producer, the amazing film director, Andrea Nordgren, who I have the privilege of being on set with over the next 5 days, starting this week. News-wise, we have lots to be excited about here in Boulder. Boulder just released our new creative directory, which features over 230 creatives based here from businesses and freelancers, led by our very own Bruce Borowski over here. And then most notably, thanks to the Visit Boulder team and a lot of tireless partners, Boulder beat out 67 other initial cities across the country to win the bid for the 2027 Sundance Film Festival! So ultimately, we were told that we were selected because of our thriving arts and culture scene, our mountain setting, and our vibrant, welcoming community. And I heard in a little private planning committee the other day that the planning committee has started to referring to our friendly approach of doing business here in Colorado as the Colorado Way. So I think that alone really reiterates that this is a statewide win for all of us and something that we all should be incredibly proud of. So big win for Colorado.
Amazing. All right. And in Denver, there's way too much to list, as all of the leaders have said. So we've got the Colorado Creators Alliance, made up of Denver and Boulder area creative firm owners, have been working together to discuss ways that we can brand ourselves and promote Colorado work that we're doing here. Denver Office of Special Events has been working on community interviews to create a better process for film permitting in Denver and the surrounding areas. On November 1st, the Colorado Film and Television Festival Coalition was launched, which is to connect film and TV festival leaders here, improving festivals statewide. Series Fest just announced a program for official selections that can access more than $200,000 worth of funding for series projects. So look into that. And we just finished the Denver Film Fest. They had 20 Colorado films that were highlighted in the festival. Over 30 had Colorado ties and 100 sold out screenings, which is very exciting. And yesterday, we just wrapped the AV Expo that brought together the broadcast and post side of our industry, highlighting equipment brands and promoting thought leadership with community-led talks, which is great. So that's what's happening here in Denver. All right, Grand Junction. Tell us who's leading down there and give us an update.
Thank you, Shauna. Hello, huge welcome from everyone here in Grand Junction on the Western Slope. My name's Tommy Bonner, and I'm thrilled to be our local host here. I wanted to start by giving a massive thank you to our Grand Junction city producer, Josh. We have a pretty big update for independent feature that we just filmed this last July. It's called The Bench. I was proud to serve as the production coordinator and second assistant director on it. The film focused on a small unhoused encampment, The Bench, where several lives intersect. We follow their present-day struggles as well as brief reflections on their past and explore their personal stories behind complex issues. It's a thoughtful, character-driven piece, and we are all eagerly waiting its completion as it moves through post-production. For the statewide community, this project was another great step forward for our region. Firstly, the shoot highlighted Grand Junction's rising appeal for productions. It showcased our city as a cost-effective location, aligning with Colorado's film incentive program, and proved our region can handle complex logistics from company moves and road control to vehicle choreography to sizable background days. It was a fantastic opportunity for local crew and talent, supporting both training and employment. The production engaged students and alumni, myself included, from Colorado Mesa University's film and digital media programs, who worked alongside professionals on set, strengthening our entire local film ecosystem. Finally, beyond the camera, the film's team partnered with local nonprofits to distribute thousands of socks and blankets to unhoused individuals in the Grand Mesa Valley, anchoring the story in a real community impact.
Let's bring it over to Colorado Springs.
We are super excited to be here. We are pleased to say that Colorado Springs is starting to become a recognized name in the industry. We're happy to be our first meeting for this whole thing. We were not included last year, but we're really excited to be part of it this year. There are, as far as we know, about 8 feature films currently being shot in Colorado Springs in various stages of productions and various budget tiers. We're really excited to have so many great festivals down here, many of which have already taken place and many of which are yet to take place later this year. We, in general, are just really stoked and excited. We know we've taken up some time with some technical difficulties, so we'll swing it back to you, Shauna.
All right, now Canyon City.
Hello from Canyon City. My name is Benjamin Black. I'm leading this event for Canyon City. But yeah, we are just kind of we used to have a big film presence here in Canyon City in Fremont County. It's kind of went away a little bit, but we're definitely trying to bring it back. And yeah, that's what we're doing here today. And thank you so much, Shauna, for putting all of this together.
Yeah, thank you. All right, great. How about Pueblo?
Yes. Hi, my name is Cody Summersherry, but most of you know me as Spaz. So we'd like to give a special shout out to David Chavez for our city producer, making all of this happen over here in Pueblo. There we go. A couple of fun things going on around here in Pueblo. We have 3 predominant film festivals happening. First, we have our Pueblo Film Fest. We also have our Slime Fest. And oh, I wanted to give a special shout out to CISFA Film Fest. And last but not least, Kick-Ass Film Festival. Well, I can't think of anything else to say. So again, thank you everybody that has participated in this phenomenal event. Give yourselves another round of applause. And I'm going to give it off to you, Shauna.
Very exciting. All right, our Zoom T has some people coming in, piping in from all over the country for this. T, give us a wave. Where is everybody from on the Zoom call?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Excited to be here to host for those who can't make it in person and have their voices heard. So far, we've had about 15 people sign up online. They're from Ontario, Grand Junction, Telluride, Salida, and then, of course, a little closer to us in Denver, we've got Colorado Springs, Boulder, Adams County, Westminster. And they range from people in the government office, producers, actors, musicians, editors. It seems like we're going to have a great conversation with a whole sort of people.
Thank you. Okay, and then to speak for the state, I have Ariel Brockfield, our interim film commissioner. Can you give us some celebrations and updates statewide?
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you all today. Like Shauna said, my name is Ariel Brockfield. I'm so proud to serve as Colorado Office of Film, Television, and Media's interim film commissioner. We have an incredible moment in Colorado. I want to share a few high-level things. We recently were able to launch our refundable tax credit starting in 2024. HB 24-1358 was passed, extending the tax credit with an allocation of $5 million per year. As of September in 2025, all those funds have been reserved, which means that producers are using the tax credit. And there's an increased demand for film production support. Projects running through the incentive program are projected to support over 600 cast and crew positions for an estimated economic impact of over $44.4 million. Some wider level news. I am thrilled to share that the Film Office will be formally integrating with Colorado Creative Industries, a sister division in OEdit. This is incredibly exciting. It will allow creative industry as a whole to flourish and provide some much needed resource allocation and support for this very exciting moment in Colorado. Shauna, you mentioned the launch of the Film and Television Festival Coalition, which happened November 1st. That was done in partnership with Breck Film, Denver Film, Sundance, and Series Fest. We had over 30 participants from film festivals across the state. This is a new industry-led effort that will better support our film festival ecosystem. We've been able to revitalize our regional liaison program. Elizabeth and Bruce and Julie and several other, Ben is a new regional liaison. We've been able to support FAMCO and CFVA with a lot of the industry development needs. I do want to highlight our Real Scout directory. It's a crew and support services directory. This is something that serves statewide, and I highly encourage everyone to sign up if they haven't. We also offer a location directory through Real Scout. These are free services. And last but not least, we were able to launch the Native Lens Symposium this past year in our Four Corners region. This was also in partnership with Sundance, Durango Film, Tribal Media Center, and Fort Lewis. And we're looking at expanding that impact in the Four Corners region in 2026. I just really want to take a moment and say that this is a pivotal time as we approach the Sundance Film Festival's launch in 2027. We have the opportunity to rewrite our future history. We have the opportunity to have Colorado be elevated nationally and internationally in a way that our amazing crew and industry deserve. We have a thriving video game industry. We have a thriving arts and culture industry. We are economic drivers and we are change makers. And now more than ever, art is needed to unite, empower, and amplify. Congratulations to every single person putting in the time to be here today, doing the work that needs to be done. We can only do this together. Shauna, thank you so much for your leadership.
Excellent. Thank you. So each of these city leaders has been working with me over the last 3 months or so to put this together. So one more statewide round of applause for everybody. I realized I could not do this alone, and I feel very strongly that we don't need to rebuild anything. We have things here, we have organizations here, and so I decided I wanted to take FAMCO into an organization, and I reached out to the CFVA, and I said, can we bring all this work into the members organization for the state? And I have gotten nothing but support for this ambitious movement. And so with that, I want to introduce you to Noah Smith, the president of the CFVA, to say a few words.
So for those of you who don't know, the CFVA is Colorado's longest standing industry membership organization. We feel that unifying the voice of our industry should come from the community, you all. This mission of our organization has changed many times throughout the years. We were founded in 1982, responding to challenges and opportunities that arise when we see any moments that we can possibly step up to. Right now is a particular moment for our industry. I think we can all recognize that nationwide there's a lot of challenges that are coming up, but in our state, there is so much energy and enthusiasm that we can take advantage of. We, as the CFVA, want to be a hub for the filmmaking community, connecting all of you wonderful people, the businesses and organizations that make film happen here in Colorado. We believe that being more connected will allow us to be stronger and more resilient during hard times and more community focused in the times of plenty that we all are going to make happen. So that's why we're here. That's why we're at this program. That's also why we are working to revitalize our historic production guide and why we're working to become a central resource for plugging into Colorado's film industry, being a hub for the information that you need to find success in your career here in Colorado, and ideally, staying in Colorado. Thank you all for being here. This is so important to our industry and so important to all of us personally. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Noah. All right, before we begin, we have some ground rules. All right, so we are inclusive. Everyone has something to offer and everyone is welcome here. Everyone who wants it can have a seat at the table. We are respectful. When you're passionate about something, things can get emotional. But just remember that these are our peers, our neighbors, and our coworkers, and we are in this boat together. So please today be constructive with your feedback and respect one another in this space. Third, we are here to work. You showed up because you're willing to volunteer some of your time, your resources, and your connections. When it comes to making meaningful change and growing our industry, we are who we've been waiting for. Okay, agreed? Okay, great. Then let's begin. Before I hand it off locally, I want to give everyone context for what FAMCO is. So this is the TLDR version of it. So FAM stands for the Film and Media Community. Back in 2022, after reading the Colorado Film Study, I was very interested in being a part of the solution of growing the industry because as a business owner here, I would benefit from that. So if you haven't read the study, there's a QR code. You can read it tonight, a little light reading, dig in. It was an important step in understanding the state of our industry here in Colorado. Key findings and recommendations from the study said that we have an issue with these items here in blue. None of this is a surprise to anyone in the room. A big recommendation in the study was to form a task force to lead what's next. And that really resonated with me, and because there wasn't one, I started it. One of the main drivers of the movement is the flywheel. John Van Wyck at CFVA was actually the one that brought this to me. I was creating this visualization of a framework of our industry as a big campus where there were buildings and we were going to work together, and it was extremely complicated and way too detailed. And the more we talked, the more I really caught this vision. So during this time, I was also learning about our industry. As I started to lead conversations and bring together leaders, I realized I didn't understand how it all worked and what players were involved. So I did a listening tour and I interviewed people from as many organizations as would let me. And if I don't have your organization on this list, please make a point of reaching out to us at the CFVA so we can get you on the Leadership Coalition, which we will talk about later. After that research, this was the flywheel that I presented to the community last year at the town hall. And when it comes to making progress, there isn't one single action or initiative that's going to solve the challenges that face the industry. Instead, there needs to be a larger, connected effort that pushes on various spokes of our flywheel in order for us to gain momentum. So in 2024, 250 of you showed up and listened to this concept. My vision for this simultaneous host-led discussion across our state is to be able to see each other and how big our industry truly is, and also recognize that it's statewide. The first town hall was simply the beginning, and our goal was just to spark the idea of this movement, share knowledge, and then make the connections to share a leadership coalition. Out of that, we got pages and pages of ideas from all of you. All of it was how we could bolster our industry. But just little old me couldn't make that happen. So if we didn't align creative companies, studios, the city leaders, state leaders, the commissioners, the nonprofit organizations with all of your needs, all of this work would be for nothing. So I dreamed up the FAMCO Leadership Summit, which on October 3rd and 4th, a group of 37 leaders came from across our state, one from LA, who wants to live here. We came together for a 2-day workshop. And I presented the work that you all did last year, which was 9 pages singled space of initiatives, programs, and platforms. And all of these ideas were to push our flywheel and create momentum. That group of leaders took all of those ideas and distilled it down into this new flywheel. So now we have 6 spokes of our flywheel, and they have put together a top 3 priorities list for every one of our spokes, which we're going to talk about today. So the metaphor of the spokes also pushes the idea that all of these are important. This is a yes and commitment. We can't just have a connected film industry. We can't just have incentives, even though we need them. If we don't have all the spokes, we have a very lopsided wheel that's not going to roll very well. So like our industry, we don't function well if we are weak in any of these areas. So that's what we're going to start today with. And with that, we're going to go local, because now I want each of the regions to talk about this, pairing together here in each of your regions. And so each of the city leaders, you can turn off your cameras and mute on your end and dive in locally. So have a great conversation, everyone. I'm going to pass it over to our local host, Paul.
My name is Paul Perkel, and I am with Freestream Films. I am a new member to the CFVA board. For the next 90 minutes of this interactive underline town hall experience, I'll be your host. When it comes to the film industry, it's based around projects. Those can take the shape of feature films, episodic shows, short form content, social content, brand storytelling, scripted, documentary, unscripted, commercials, podcasts, vertical microdramas, etc. Producers create the projects. They can get investors, or they get hired to do a project from a brand or another team. And those projects create jobs. Ultimately, our ecosystem depends on the entrepreneurial spirit of producers that are bringing projects into our ecosystem. Producers get an idea for a project, and during development, they package it up, attaching the talent and in the intellectual property, the IP, and partner with investors or get funders who then provide the money to make it happen. Producers consider government support like incentives or how film-friendly a state or country is as they package their film. Once the funds are there, producers then hire the folks in pre-production, production, and post who make the film. Then work with agents for sales and distribution, get the film seen, hoping to make back the investment to split among all those who took the risk on the project up front. Whether you're a freelancer, a small business, or you work on blockbusters, if you're making money with your film or content, you need an ecosystem like this to fund, then sell projects.
Y'all ready to get to work? This is the hard part now. Alrighty, so this is the new spoke that was developed. They shared the spoke from last year. Everybody networked and worked on it, workshopped together, and this is the new spoke this year. So I'm going to run through each one, starting with number 1, project development. So how do we draw producers here to develop their projects in Colorado? Spoke 2, film community connections. How do we get rid of silos in our industry? 3 is investor relationships. How do we build relationships with investors and get the money flowing here in Colorado? 4 is business support. How do we support entrepreneurs and build infrastructure? 5 is government activation. How do we work with city, county, and state entities to build jobs and support industry? And 6 is public relations. How do we become visible to our state and country as a hub for film? So I'm going to walk us through each of these spokes and give you a little more context to these. So first, for project development, so this is mainly where producers live. This spoke helps producers develop their projects here. The big 3 priorities for us right now that were identified last year at the town hall are a Colorado incubator that would train producers on the full ecosystem, how to make money, and help them develop their projects here in Colorado. The Colorado Story Lab was suggested as a way to help directors and writers in telling their stories and forming them into bankable projects. And a sales and distributor matchmaking event, which would pair producers with potential buyers or investors, like a Colorado version of the AFM that Bruce was just talking about. So those are the 3 areas that folks identified last year that they thought would be neat for the project development side of things. Film community connections, spoke 2. So this is addressing the siloed nation, which I would assume most of us have felt here. It was noticeable to me when we moved here from North Carolina that exists here in this industry. This is the we're stronger together mentality. And the primary focus of this is to support strong relationships amongst the people working in this industry, to share knowledge and resources. And I would add here to share work that we're all proud of, whether you did it or not. Like, I would love to be that's part of my dream for this community, is to be able to share other people's work, and we all ships rise together kind of an approach. So big priorities here: a film and media leadership coalition made up of organization, business, and government leaders that meets twice a year. Recurring statewide industry events like this one and the State of the State, which is coming up this year. Colorado Creators Lounge on Pearl Street, which Andrea and I are working on during the Sundance event to introduce our offerings to the Sundance community. Spoke 3, investor partnerships. So the 3 big priorities here are Colorado Film Fund that would invest in Colorado projects, the Colorado Catalyst, which matches vetted filmmakers with investors, and brand storytelling forums that connect filmmakers with Colorado brands. I had to read that one twice when I first read through these. So this one is matching with investors, this is matching with brands. Spoke 4, business support. So this is designed for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, crew, studios, facilities, and rental houses, running the below-the-line services here that make up the infrastructure of our industry. So the big 3 priorities on this one are statewide industry directory and resource guides to help find the crew and service providers for producers. Basically, we're trying for any out-of-town producer that comes in to make it just a one-stop shop for them to find everything they need, from vendors like Profoto or Homebase to locations, anything like that, as well as tax incentives for infrastructure projects. If you want to build a studio here in town, we support that. Here's tax incentives to help you do it. And then statewide jobs platform for industry where people can post and find open positions. So if you're a scriptwriter in town and you're looking for work, that's where you would go first. I know that we have a lot of different social media apps and things that people are using for that. It would sure be great if we could just have one trusted interface that was modern, it worked really well, and that's where everyone posted. Government activation. This primary focus is to educate the industry on government processes and partner with city, county, and state governments to create jobs in economic growth areas. The 3 big priorities here are alignment between the film office and industry needs, a bill proposing funding incentives beyond the 5-year runway that ends in 2029, and regional stackable credits that would add to the existing state incentives. And then our last spoke, public relations. So this spoke's primary focus is to communicate the value of our industry within Colorado and nationally, to bring more work to the state and to attract tourists and investments here. So priorities here are a task force to build a brand for Colorado film, which I think is really exciting, kind of like the Georgia Peach, a centralized industry news source, The Colorado 150 project, celebrating Colorado films through exhibition around the state. This is already underway, and they're planning to show 150 Colorado films to celebrate Colorado's 150th anniversary in 2026. So the next part, what we're trying to do is, now that we have those 6 groups identified and everyone kind of knows where they resonate the most with it, now we're going to take a look at what are the top 3 things that you think we should do as a state? And then what are the top 3 things we should be doing locally? Because those might be different answers.
So definitely the project development, the investor partnerships, and government activation were our big areas. Colorado Producer Incubator, like Scott said, we agree, helping producers understand the full process, having sales and distribution in place ahead of time, and focusing our government initiatives on developing local talent, local producers.
We have 2 writers in our group, so the Story Lab really caught our idea, and we thought it's really important for us to start making Colorado stories that really feature Colorado and make Colorado a character. That's just going to be good for everybody all around. Tax incentives, of course, because, that really greases those wheels. And then we really love the idea of the Colorado Film Branding Task Force, and that really goes along with making, Colorado-centered projects, keeping them here, developing them here, making sure they're in post here, and the whole thing.
What was brought up, which was really incredible and fascinating, was the whole concept of the stackable credits from cities and regions. Like that is a pretty profound and helpful little tool. And one of the big things that we covered was the infrastructure and how we need to develop the place and the space and the community that is going to support not only our productions, but the productions that come in. And it's if you build it, they will come, yes, but it's also if you build it, we will come. It doesn't have to just be waiting for that big project to come in. Let's do the projects here, let's make it here. So that infrastructure piece is huge. Thank you.
What are we trying to use some of these film incentives for? Because obviously, like you said earlier, it's a business. We're trying to get money into it so we can actually pay everybody their actual day rate, for one, and also make it a viable business. But so with the film incentives that we have, if it's $5 million a year over the course of the next 5 years, that's not really enough to be attracting huge productions from outside the state. But what it is enough to do is try and cultivate good talent, good projects here within the state. So it's kind of a 2-tiered, 2 different timeline system of let's focus here, focus with the producer labs and the incubator, Colorado Film Fund, whether or not that's something we can get from the government or private equity. But then also use everything that we are building to grow the appeal of the state and our talent outside of it to then attract more in. Once we show that there is a huge economic stimulus to offering that tax incentive and show the industry growing, then it can run away from us. It could just get bigger and bigger from there.
One of the things I think we can do, and we started it, the film office has already started it, but I think we need to really expand it and kind of dive in all over the state. But they've started to do regional film offices. I think we need one in every county in the state. We need to be training more and more of the city governments in terms of how to issue a permit if you're going to issue a permit, how to have somebody locally in every city that is a go-to person. Years ago, I was working as a county film commissioner in California. We had a group called FLICS, which were film liaisons in California, that covered almost every county. We had the COLA awards, or the California Allocation Awards. We recognized local, state, federal government employees for facilitating film. We're not doing that. So when a location calls or production calls, somebody needs to be able to get them in the door of whatever location they're trying to get into within a matter of a couple hours. We can't do that right now. So we need to be able to train people all across the state to help facilitate productions when they come into the state and know how to speak film.
I'm a costume designer. We had a really great group here, but one of the things that we've talked about that of course everyone else has mentioned, but something that we can add new to the table, we focus a lot on public relations. And that starts with all of us communicating together, not just as a city, but as a state. And being able to have that directory where it sets realistic expectations. I've worked 14 years in Los Angeles, and I was mentioning that, if I want to do a spec to show a potential producer, I need to come up with something, including like a mock poster. In 1 hour, I could get anything I want, a classic car, vintage cans, whatever I need, within about somewhere between 2 to 3 to 4 hours. And then I could actually have that poster be printed and in front of a producer within the end of the day. That's the level that we want to get to if we really want to be turning over the wheel all the time. And that only comes with making sure that all of the infrastructure is communicating with each other, and that all these different pieces of this giant octopus have a brain that we can all then work from together.
Look at you all showing up here. Look at everyone else showing up at the other sites today and blowing up our attendance compared to last year. It's yes, 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 to excitement, to resonance, to heck yeah, the hoorah part of this. I'm all about it. I love it. Also, additionally, we have to build the processes, the structures, the communication. There are some business principles here that a lot of people in this room are very familiar with. And if you're not, that's not the point. The point is we need to leverage sound, repeatable, proven business principles to actualize your enthusiasm. That's my vision. That's what I want to bring to the table.
I can't thank you all enough for coming and being a part of this. I know it's a long day and it's a weekend away from families and kiddos and things like that. So thank you all very much for being here. Nobody else I'd rather try and tackle these problems with. Thank you.